We are getting close to the end here, folks. I tried on all of my graduation regalia for the first time yesterday. Terrifying that this is happening. I have my cap and cords and all that jazz over there. The lake, which I'm gonna miss so dearly. Um, it's lovely today. It is blue. It looks like someone put a bunch of dye in there or something. It's crazy. Um, and God's giving us a good send off. Um, so we're going through Job. Um, if you don't remember, last week we talked about the first couple chapters where Job kind of has a bad day. Um, I don't know if you've ever read that book, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, but that's kind of what's going on, except not as bad. No, I'm kidding. He loses 10 children, all of his servants, except for one, um, all of his cattle, all of his livestock, everything but like his wife and then like that one servant that, well, I think there were like three servants that came and got him to like tell him about the new things that have died. Sorry, I just realized a weird reflection in my glasses. We're gonna keep my chin down. Um, so that's where we're at so far. So Job's going through the ringer. Okay. And if you remember, last week we left off where Job had three friends with him, and their names are Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. So if you're looking for good baby names, might I suggest one of those? They're awful, and no one will be able to pronounce them or spell them, but they are unique. No one else will be naming their children that. So consider that. They came and they sat with him silently for 3 days, something like that. Sorry, 7 days and 7 nights. A little bit more than 3 days. Two sets of 3 days and then another one, another day. So we're starting very top of chapter 3, and we're going to be jumping around a lot because we have over 40 chapters to cover in 4 weeks, and we only did 2 last week. So we're going to be getting this done. So, starting in Job 3, the first couple verses say, "After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth." Who hasn't? And Job said, "Let the day perish on which I was born, and the night that said, a man is conceived. Let that day be darkness. May God above not seek it, nor light shine above it." It's getting down. Why did I not die at birth, come out of the womb and expire? So, needless to say, um, he's not handling things super well. Um, all things considered, it all makes sense why he would be like, Uh, but because like I've heard complaints like that from people just because it's like finals week and they're like, "Curse the day I was born, vain and that was the day I was conceived." Like that just sounds like a college student, to be honest. But this guy kind of earns those complaints, given that I feel like this is tilted. I think that's the problem. It's really annoying me. Okay. Hopefully now I won't have that. Nope. Okay, I still do. Excellent. So we're just gonna put up with it. I don't really care. The reflection on my glasses, you guys will survive. I promise. It's better than Job's day. We'll say that. I'll take the reflection on my glasses over the deaths of 10 children and a bunch of servants and my entire livelihood. So, you know, so he's complaining about that. He's complaining about like literally everything. And so here's what happens from here on out is the biggest, I want to say our biggest source perhaps for our theodicy, um this entire book. Now, what is theodicy? Basically, it's the question, why does God allow suffering? This is a very major question And it's one that needs to be addressed. And especially if you're in Job's shoes and you've just lost 10 children, your livelihood, you're super sick, your wife is mad at you. Like, that's a question you're going to be asking is why? Why? And at this point, the only thing he's asking why to is why was I born? Um, but then his friends, the ones that have been silent for 7 days and 7 nights, decide now's the time to speak. So first up, we got Eliphaz. Eliphaz is chapters like 4 through 5, I want to say. We're just gonna stick with 4 for now. I'm only gonna read you a couple verses from each, but like they're kind of funny, honestly, if you like read. So just like I highly suggest that you go read them. Um, so we're reading verses 7 and 8 from chapter 4 for this one. So it says, "Remember, who that was innocent ever perished, or where were the upright cut off? As I have seen, those who plow iniquity and sow trouble reap the same." So in normal people terms, that says what he's saying there is, yo, Job, has anyone ever perished that didn't kind of deserve it? Or like when did God ever like kill the good people? Right? Like because the way I see it, from my experience, anybody who's like who's farming bad stuff and sowing issues, they get what they deserve. Which if your friend has just lost, I know I keep saying this, 10 children, all of his servants, all of his livestock. Eliphaz is straight up saying that Job deserved it. I I don't know if you guys know Chicago, the musical. The song "He Had It Coming." That's kind of this. That's what this is giving. Okay, that's Eliphaz's opinion. Job recants it, and he's like, "No, I deserve to be complaining about this, actually." And also, I hate my life still. So thanks, Eliphaz. Didn't. He says, and this should have been my confirmation verse. Just like the first part of this is Job 7, verse 11, which, first of all, that's funny. 7:11. Anyways, therefore I will not restrain my mouth. As me, baby. Um, my bed will comfort me. My couch will ease my complaint. Like, that's literally me. Literally me. No, in all seriousness, though, Bildad, the Shuhite, then comes on, and he pops off, and he's like, does God pervert justice? Does the Almighty pervert the right? If your children have sinned against him, he's delivered them into the hand of their transgression. If you will seek God and plead with the Almighty for mercy, if you are pure and upright, surely then he will rouse himself for you and restore your rightful habitation. And though your beginning was small, your latter days will be very great. Now, I don't know Greek, no, Hebrew. This is Old Testament. So I can't tell you, I mean, I could have looked it up, I just didn't. I can't tell you exactly what the Hebrew word for rouse is there, but I know at least in English, the implication is that the reason everything is happening to Job is because he's not good enough for God to care about him, and also God's taking a nap. And like Job, if he's actually good enough, then he just has to go wake up God from this nap and like, and then God will be like, oh no, sorry, Job, here you go. Which is horrible theology, first of all. So consider that, Bildad. Write that down. Get better theology. So both Eliphaz and Bildad think that Job is a bad person who is now getting what's coming. So that's fun. Um, and he goes on with all of this like poetry. Like, can papyrus grow where there is no marsh? Can reeds flourish where there is no water? Like, chill out. He's basically implying, well, your kids died because they didn't like God. That's a horrible thing to say. Are you kidding me? Anyways, so then Job continues. He complains for another couple chapters. Eliphaz and Bildad, but there's still one more, right? He had three friends. The first two, not the best. Zophar. Zophar then speaks. Zophar says, how much are we reading here? Hold on. 11. Okay, we're in chapter 11 now. This is Zophar to Job. For you say, my doctrine is pure, and I am clean in God's eyes. But oh, that God would speak and open his lips to you, and that he would tell you the secrets of wisdom. For he is manifold in understanding. Know then that God exacts of you less than your guilt deserves. So he took it even further, which is insane. That is bonkers. He goes, yeah, Eliphaz, Bildad, yeah, okay, bad things happen to bad people, but actually, Job, you should be getting worse, because have you looked at yourself lately? Settle down, Zophar. Oh my goodness. He's something. I'll say that. He is something. So the whole purpose, we still have a few more verses to read, but I want to focus on what we're aiming towards as I'm reading through all of these verses. And, but where exactly are Eliphaz and Bildad going wrong here? And Zophar. Zophar especially. What's happening is that Job is in a really tough position. And we're all in really tough positions a lot of the time. I mean, that's most of life. What's important is that you go to God first and you lean on God's understanding, not your own, certainly not your friends, because they don't know what they're talking about 95% of the time. Let's be so real with ourselves. We need God's understanding, not ours. We don't always get God's understanding, which is really annoying in my humblest of opinions. But we have to hope, we have to trust, we have to believe that God knows what's best for us. He knows what's coming. He knows the plans he has for us, declares the Lord, plans to prosper us and not to harm us, plans to give us a hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Everyone knows that one. That's a great verse. So what happens then is Job responds to the first three. And one of my favorite Bible verses, and there's another translation I like. I have to pitch this game just because it's probably my favorite thing. And it's right here because I went on tour, but they use a different translation for this game, or for this specific verse, Job 13:5. This is The Bible is Funny. If you've ever played Cards Against Humanity, or how the apples to apples style game works, this is very similar, where you put down a yellow card and then you respond with black cards, and all of the black cards are just Bible verses taken out of context. It is incredible. And so this is one of them, Job 13:5. And the way that they translate it here, I like. It says, oh, that you would all be silent and that would be your wisdom. Fair enough. Fair enough. He goes on then to say, will you show partiality towards God? Will you plead the case for God? Will it be well with you when he searches you out? Or can you deceive him as one deceives a man? He will surely rebuke you in secret if you show partiality. Will not his majesty terrify you, and the dread of him fall upon you? Your maxims are proverbs of ashes, your defenses are defenses of clay. Let me have silence, and I will speak. Let come on me what may. Why should I take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my hand? Though he slay me, I will hope in him, yet I will argue my ways to his face. So that's kind of my new motto for life is just I hope in God. I will hope in God, even if he slays me. I will argue with him that like it's just like me for real. I don't think that's always a good thing, but he's just like me for real. But so what he's saying here, even though he's super sassy in like all of this, because I don't know, I think I would be a little bit upset if I lose my entire life. And then my friends come up and they're like, maybe you should have been a better person. Did you ever think about that, Job? Just saying. I would be a little mad too. Job's holding his tongue, in my opinion. But what he's saying, though, is he still trusts in God. Even though everything is going completely wrong, he still trusts in God. So we're skipping forward again. Eliphaz basically says in the intermediary couple of chapters that Job doesn't actually fear God. Job hits them with my favorite verse in chapter 16, verse 2. I have a lot of favorite verses in Job. He's so funny. He hits him with the, you are all miserable comforters, which they kind of are. Yeah, he has a point there. But then he says, oh, this one's funny. He says, but you, come on again, all of you, and I shall not find a wise man among you. Tea. Absolute tea. So, continuing on, Job's just complaining about, like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to believe? What's going on? Bildad continues. He's going on about how, like, well, God punishes the wicked, so jot that one down, buddy. It's not helpful. It's not helpful for Job. What was helpful was when they were silent. So, pro tip, if you are with a friend, shut your mouth and let that be your wisdom. I'm going to continue talking for a couple more minutes because I still have more to say. That would have been a phenomenal ending, but I still have more. I don't have much more actually now that I'm looking at my notes again. So what's going on basically is Job is saying like that he would rather not talk to his friends about any of this. He would rather go straight to God. And he would rather just go and be like, hey, buddy, what? Huh? And get the answer from God. And that is a phenomenal idea. If you are in a very troubled time, go straight to God. Go ask God why. And we will hear in a while, it is a little while, before God pops up and starts explaining to Job. But we will hear from God. You will hear from God. And until then, when your friends are upset, keep your mouth shut. And let that be your wisdom. I told you to make a good ending. Okay. I'll see you guys next week. We'll continue this discussion. We'll be focusing next week on praise. So that'll